are the men and women of the 1st Platoon, 1st Battalion, 650th Rifle Regiment of the 138th Rifle Division. They occupy the main administrative building of the Barricades Ordnance Factory. Once a thriving hive of industrialism and proletarian labor, today it is a corpse. Though under the watchful premiership of Comrade Stalin, even a corpse may serve its motherland. The 650th Rifle Regiment has spent the last month defending these fetid remains against a continual onslaught of fascist forces, whose bitter and merciless advances now leave the administrative building as one of the Red Army's final strongholds before the Volga and the 138th Division's own headquarters. The regiment has at their disposal 90 men, 61 rifles, 13 PPSH submachine guns, 2 heavy machine guns, 3 light machine guns, 2 anti-tank rifles, and 7 mortars. To the last of these shall they defend their sacred land, never deigning or daring to take a single step back. This man is Junior Lieutenant Andrei Rotanev. Under his tenure, 1st Platoon has performed admirably and is in high spirits. A rare postal delivery has brought word from mothers and wives at home, and while these final words from loved ones may do no more to save these men than their music or drink, they are a reminder that outside their squalid surroundings, the world remains. And so with song on their lips and wordless prayer in their hearts, these men and women of the Peasants' and Workers' Red Army would again arise in a fight to the death against the oppressors, the rapists, the plunderers, and torturers of the cursed fascist hordes. Advancing across the eastern wing's 4th floor, the force comes under fire from the western wing, which has already fallen to the enemy. Pinned down, a firefight ensues. Holding an untenable position, the platoon begins advancing by squads. If the central wing is reached, they may be able to root out the enemy. The crossing is treacherous and many casualties are taken. A second squad is brought up for another attempt. They break through, and the assault continues into the building's central wing. Platoon makes excellent progress and advances rapidly through the complex, but another deadly crossing will be required if the force is to advance. Senior Lieutenant Kosarev radios in their status to HQ. At the blow of his whistle, Rotanev leads another charge. The central wing is taken. Now they need only to flush the fascists out of their stronghold to reclaim the entire floor. Prisoners are soon taken in the push, but the platoon is blocked off from the next corridor by a machine gun, while enemy fire from the roof restricts their movement. The attack is beginning to falter. Using hostages and insults to coax the Hitlerites out of their position does not seem to be working. Another plan is necessary if the force is to advance. Such is the brutality of the war in Stalingrad. The attack having failed, the eastern wing has fallen to the enemy. Occupying an untenable position, the platoon is forced to fall back and reevaluate their situation. Soon after, however, action is forced upon them when rifle fire is heard nearby on the ground floor. A continued fascist attack through the center wing has quickly overrun its limited and weary defenders and is taking control of the building. If this position falls, the headquarters will be next. And so, with no chance to take stock after their first action of this day, the 1st Battalion is once again thrown into battle. The fighting is harsh as troops move from pillar to pillar, driving the enemy back one by one out of the building's ground floor. The victory is a somber and disquieting one. The fascists have proven themselves numerous and well equipped. The men and women of Rotenev's platoon are tired. They have lost many comrades and are running low on ammunition. The spirits of just 12 hours prior are all but dead. The enemy, it is widely acknowledged, but spoken only through knowing Frontovic gazes, is preparing for their final assault. The men are allowed little by way of final rest through the night as the shadows of fascist troopers probe the Soviet lines. The final assault comes just before daybreak. With overwhelming force, the dark hordes come like a wave over the factory walls and through its twisted and crumbling corridors. By daylight, every platoon had fought valiantly and vainly to their end, except for one. Rotenev's first platoon held. They held as the fascist hordes swept over their old lines. They held as the enemy pushed through a narrow salient to the 138th Divisional headquarters. And as whirlwinds of danger came racing around them, the overwhelming forces of darkness prevailing, still the first platoon held. With splintered wood, they built their barricades. With rubble and debris, they reinforced them. They lined their entrance with wire and shook the very walls with their cries of resistance. The fascists begin to move in force against the holdout. They begin probing the defensive lines. First, they test the stairs leading up to the floor, but find the position wholly unsuitable for assault. The hollowed-out elevator shaft leading to the lower floors being entirely covered by rifle and submachine gun fire, meaning that any assault at the narrow stairs would completely collapse in on itself. The attack must come from the front. Continued skirmishing proves fatal for any invader who crosses the narrow gap. Even a dedicated push falters against the wire and is quickly annihilated. However, this skirmishing is not without effect. The hold-up defenders are running dangerously low on ammunition and suffer casualties on every assault. The first platoon is bleeding to death. Having no smoke grenades to screen their movements, nor ordnance to deny the enemy theirs, Rotenev takes a most dynamic action. Gathering straw and whatever flammable detritus is at hand, during a lull in the firefight, he and his men lay a trail across the entrance to their fortifications. Just before another wave crashes against them, the trap is set alight. Clouded in thick, black smoke, yet another German push is thrown back. In the chaos, 2 German survivors are dragged to the rear and questioned. Before their execution, the fascists are interrogated, though the information they render is hardly surprising. The greater part of a full Wehrmacht company are preparing for a final assault on the Soviet position. Being totally surrounded and outnumbered, the 1st Platoon, 1st Battalion, 650th Rifle Regiment, 138th Rifle Division of the Peasants' and Workers' Red Army now wait for death, and they shall greet it when it comes, with bullet, with bayonet, with clenched fists, and with noble wrath boiling over like a wave. Not one step back.